I lost the line, missed my mark. Can't make it back home, we've gone too far. Light a fire underneath me, let it swallow me whole. Feel it all around me, should've done what I was told. Now I'm stuck in oblivion, lost in time. Everything I've done, forgotten, unless I survive. Nobody wonders where I've gone, ignoring the signs and sending out. Forgot the moves, lost the round. Find your own way out, 'cause we're going down. Light a fire underneath me, let it swallow me whole. Feel it all around me, should've done what I was told. Now I'm stuck in oblivion, lost in time. Everything I've done, forgotten, gotta make it out alive. Light a fire underneath me, let it swallow me whole. Feel it all around me, should've done what I was told. Now I'm stuck in oblivion, lost in time. Everything I've done, forgotten, gotta make it out alive.
Yo, Dada. 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 Yo, hold on. Me man, break back. Now should I put on the paper? After was it back as I turned the button.
Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Neutral News Network. I'm Brian alongside Jake and Zach. and we are here on another Wednesday, back-to-back Wednesdays that we actually made it for a podcast. I think
We
that's
did
pretty
it.
crazy, honestly. Yeah, I know, right? Good job, us. High five. um, but yeah, we're happy to be here. And there's no shortage of news out there, so we're happy to be able to provide that information for you guys, and we're gonna go ahead and get right on into it. So first off, we're gonna start talking about our ground news articles the way that we always do. Um, so first off, Microsoft lays off about 9,000 employees in latest round of cuts. A lot of these big tech companies have been laying off employees in more, I would say, larger masses over the past couple months to about a year. A lot of that's due to the AI boom and not needing certain coders and programmers, as Zachary and myself actually know quite well. We've taken to using certain AI products in order to write code for certain things that we're trying to do
Yeah,
personally and things of that
I've
matter.
known I've known quite a few people that have been using it to do that.
Exactly. I mean, the process is really easy, and obviously, there's still going to be room for coders and programmers out there in the professional space, but I think a lot of these companies realize that they might have overhired in years past.
Yeah, and a lot of the
Go,
job specialization is going towards learning how to train these models, develop these models, all that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of shifting a little bit away from actual product development and more so
yeah,
towards training the AI and AI focused stuff.
yeah, developing the large language model. What I mean. Next, so thousands of city workers go on strike in Philadelphia, affecting trash pickup and more. And I want to point out, so this strike has been going on in Philadelphia as of late, but I believe there was a judge ruling that ordered some of these individuals to go back to the office. Um, be interesting to see how that shakes out. Obviously, Philadelphia is one of the largest metropolitan cities in the United States, especially on the East Coast. Um, so obviously, if this is something going on with the city workers, this could have very large implications for the city writ large. So that'll be interesting to see if that develops into anything further as the weeks go on. Tesla reports 14% decline in vehicle deliveries, marking second straight year-over-year decline. Um, so honestly, this isn't a huge shock. There's been a lot of people who've been kind of turned off from Elon Musk's rhetoric, and they view his switch over to the more right-leaning side of politics as something that they don't want to necessarily support. And a lot of individuals who support Tesla and support the original mission that they had of, providing energy-efficient, green EV vehicles, electric vehicles. Yeah, good job, Brian. Um,
Good job,
but yeah,
Brian.
thank you.
Got there.
Redundancy is redundant. But yeah, so a lot of people who supported that mission and supported that those types of cars aren't typically politically leaning towards the right. So when that shift was made, he alienated some of his customer base, and I think you are seeing that being reflected in their year-over-year sales. All right. So, with that, we've got a big, beautiful bill to talk about, or a big, ugly bill to talk about. It really just depends
Depends
on
how
what.
you look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everyone's got an opinion on it. We're calling it the big, beautiful bill because that is its official name. Um, so yeah, this bill is currently being voted on right now. The voting process has been going on for almost 6 hours now. That's not like saying that there's anything, they're not on the floor right now yelling at each other saying you need to vote for this or you need to vote for that. Nope, it's pretty sure the House is just cleared out, and we've just got people waiting. I think they need to get to 218. We talked about that before the show, but I'm almost positive they need to get to 218 in order for this amendment to pass. And we can see here that they're at 216. So they obviously need to get two more people to swing their way, and then they can approve this amendment. Now, um, there's some legalese that kind of goes into this that I'm not super familiar with, and I've read up on a few reports basically stating that so obviously the House wrote up this bill, I believe a week and a half ago. It was approximately anywhere from 900 to 1,200 pages, so a lot of verbiage in this bill. Um, they wrote up this bill, the House voted on it, and sent it to the Senate. And there was some hullabaloo. I mean, this is all kind of going on amidst the Iran conflict as well, which is crazy that that was only like a week and a half ago. Time flies when you're having fun. Um, but
Or it
there
drags
were,
on when you're not.
yeah, exactly. It feels like it drags on, but then you realize it's a week later, and you're like, where did the week go?
Right.
But yeah, so when it comes to this, I mean, there were instances of GOP politicians stating that they actually didn't realize like that was in the bill. Some of them openly admitted to the fact that they didn't read the bill prior to sending it to the Senate, which I mean is kind of surprising. I mean, it's surprising, but it's not, for the fact that obviously it's 1,200 pages. I don't think I could be bothered to read a
1200.
a 500-page book in like a couple days. I mean, if it was my job, however, I think I could
Yeah,
make an exception.
I was gonna say, you're
Yeah.
telling me that if your sole purpose was to pass this legislation, that's what you get
I
paid
think you'd
for.
read it.
You're supposed to
Correct.
be serving your constituents, and you're just not gonna read it.
Yeah, you
That's
should know what's in the bill. And that, I mean, that's the thing, is both sides have been guilty of doing that in the past. These big, large, like bulk bills that just get passed
No,
through.
they have the lawyers write them.
Yeah, well, probably. I mean, and I mean, not to go off on a huge tangent, but it really is, kind of interesting how our Congress works, right? I mean, you could theoretically have somebody with no formal high school education get elected to be a congressman or woman, and they could have no idea on parliamentary procedures. They could have no idea on how to write a bill, how to write a law, how to do any of this type of stuff, and they just get thrown into the fray. And especially if they're not an incumbent, like if they're a brand new junior congressman or woman, like it, it has to be daunting. You know what I mean? Like, and that's and I mean, even if
Or
you're
it's
like
not. Or it's not, and you're just like,
you're just
I got
vibing.
elected off of this. Let's just run with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's possible. I mean,
I mean,
for
you're
me,
running. You got elected. It can't be that daunting. You'd have to make a campaign. That's daunting in itself. Oh, he's gone.
oh yeah, we might have lost him. Yeah, he's out of there. All
You're out
right.
of there.
Well,
Where did
we'll
he
give.
go?
I don't know. I don't know if his internet died,
Well,
his computer died. The world may never know.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, all right
Well,
then.
um, yeah, he hasn't said. He
Let's
hasn't messaged
see.
me.
I believe I just
Let's
got one.
see. Oh,
Power flash. Oh, they lost power for a
oh,
minute.
okay. So he'll be back soon.
Maybe. Good question.
All right.
Well,
Wow. Let's see what we got here.
he's okay. Yeah, he is coming back as soon as he can. So,
So I'm already seeing like stuff with the big beautiful bill that they're doing things to um I don't really know what's going on right now with the live feed. Are they just
yes,
waiting? Are they trying to get like holdouts?
yeah. So this vote started at like 2:15 ish this afternoon.
Yeah.
So they're voting on an amendment, agreeing to an amendment. It's a whole ridiculous process, in my opinion, but it is
So
what it is. But
so
basically, they the vote, I believe when they started it, they said, "Hey, this vote's going to last 15 minutes." However, that is a load of crap because they can hold it open for as long as they see fit, basically, which is exactly what's
they
happening.
could
And
is this so they could just hold it open unlimited? for an
basically.
unlimited amount of time
Yeah.
until someone's like, screw it, I'm tired of this.
Basically, yeah. And this
Let's
happens.
vote to one way so we get it passed, or we
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it
And this
thrown out.
happens regardless of like who's in control of the House. It happens every administration. But basically, they need so many votes to pass, and I think, like Brian said, you could only afford to lose like 3. So they have 4 people,
Yeah.
4 Republicans who have not voted yet. So essentially, they are just waiting for those 4, or at least a couple of them, to vote.
Why haven't they voted? Is that just because they don't want to, or is that just because they're holding it
So
open?
yeah, my guess is, and I don't necessarily know who hasn't voted, but likely what it is there's something about the bill or this specific part of the bill that they do not like. So they are negotiating with somebody to be able to get, or basically somebody's trying to sway them to voting no. I
Okay.
do not know if all of the Republicans voted yes. I
Okay.
think at least a couple maybe voted no. I know the senator from North Carolina, I believe, or not senator, representative from North Carolina.
Representative.
Yeah, he might have actually been in the Senate and voted no. But
I believe that was Tom Tillis. Hi, everybody.
yeah,
I'm
that
back,
one.
by the way.
Let me get your video back.
Hearing your choice now.
Yeah.
That should be fixed.
Okay.
It's
Sounds
fixed.
good. Gotcha. Yes. Sorry about that, everybody. Hate to drop off and come back like that, but I had a quick power flash and everything decided it wanted to be Thanos snapped. So here we are. But we're back. You guys were saying. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut off your train of thought.
We were just talking about the 4 holdouts, maybe why they're holding out, kind of what they're waiting on.
Yeah, and that brings up a good question. It can be, you or myself, Zachary, since I know Jake doesn't have a Twitter, but we could look and see if there's any who the holdouts are.
I've been skimming, and
Yeah, I'd be curious to know that information as well.
I have not seen anything specific about who the holdouts are. So if somebody's posting them out there, I have not seen them.
So do we want to run through the big, I guess the big issues in the big beautiful bill?
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. Let me get a link
Like
pulled up
the
here.
big ones that people are paying attention to, I would say.
Yeah. So I'm going to share a tab here. And give me a second to get the link open. My computer's still trying to take a nap. There we go. All right. All right. So this is from CBS News.
Hold on a
obviously
second.
title. Oh, yep.
Since you left and had to come back, I just gotta put your new link in there, and then wait for it. Wait for it. Well, you know. Maybe it'll show up. Maybe it won't. I don't really know at this point. There it is. Okay, now you're good.
I hear laughing. What is
Alrighty.
that? Is that the video?
No, there was no laughing.
That might have been
God, I'm
from
going
me.
crazy.
My background.
Oh,
okay.
I gotcha.
I was like, Jake's losing it.
I'm losing it.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm just gonna scroll down through here. So yeah, okay. So 887 pages. So that was close to the 900 the first number that I gave out. But so as you can see, the House passed its own version of legislation last month with some key differences. The lower chamber must now approve the Senate's version before it can go to the president's desk. If the House makes changes, the Senate would need to sign off on those as well. So that's the big thing. And I don't think I want to make this clear. I don't think a lot of people understand the fact that so the process is the House makes the bill, right? So the House made this bill. They formatted it. They put exactly they put everything they wanted into it, right? Whether they knew about it or not, they put everything they wanted into it, right? They send it
Mhm.
off to the Senate. The Senate then gets a chance to look it over and say, "Oh yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, I don't like that." And I mean, this goes for any bill. This goes for anything that is proposed.
And they
So
can want it. They can want it. If they can change stuff if they want to, correct?
correct, and in this case
Yeah.
they did, which we'll go through some of that on that article that we have up here.
Okay.
But I know a lot of you may have heard about it was a big hullabaloo about them wanting to sell off public lands in the West. Like that was a part of the big beautiful bill, and that was actually axed in its revisions from the Senate. So that is no longer in this bill to sell off public lands in the West, which I think is a good thing. There was a lot of pushback from both Republicans and Democrats based upon that portion of the bill. But yeah, so the Senate, since they made changes to it, they have to send it back to the House. So now that the House has it, they have a chance to look over the Senate's changes and be like, okay, yeah, those are good. Or they could be like, okay, well, we don't like that. And they change it again. But if they change it again, they have to send it back to the Senate for approval. So what could happen, and you heard it, there's been a couple of audio clips. Lisa Murkowski is one of them. She's a senator from Alaska. She said that she didn't really like the bill the way that it was, but she voted yes on it, and she voted yes on it with the
Yeah.
hopes that they would get things sorted out in the House. So either she's got a case of wishful thinking, or it's kind of common knowledge that it's going to get revised down at the House level somewhat, and then it's going to get sent back to the Senate again.
Or
So go ahead,
it
Jake.
could be for re-election.
Oh, it's
My
absolutely for
theory.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely for re-election
Like the
too.
real reason.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, if we don't want to, walk on eggshells, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes.
I don't know.
You were gonna say, Zach?
Uh, two things. One, as far as Lisa Murkowski goes, I want to go over her whole situation because it's really it's irritating. Irritating that politicians can do this, I suppose. So originally, she was a no. She was not going to
Yeah.
vote for it.
Mm-hmm.
They worked out a deal where basically all of the cuts coming to Medicaid, Alaska was excluded from. The cuts to SNAP, Alaska was excluded from. They were all of the provisions that have kept, in theory, kept land from being drilled for oil up in Alaska. A lot of like the rules and regulations and that kind of stuff no longer apply.
Mhm.
She was going to vote yes at that point once they added that stuff in. The Senate parliamentarian, which is the person who basically is a rule enforcer for the bills in the Senate, because you can't necessarily just add stuff to the bill. There's a way to do
Correct.
it. There's a process for it. You can't just shove stuff in there. So the
Right.
provisions that were going to make Murkowski vote yes were removed. She then said she was going to vote no. She then voted yes, and then said, I hope the House doesn't pass it. Why? Why are you voting yes only to hope another branch of the government doesn't pass it? That does not make any sense to me. I understand getting those provisions added to fight for your constituents, like that's stuff that benefits the people you serve. That I understand doing, but then to just vote yes anyway, what was the point?
Yeah, what is the point of fighting?
It's
I don't
stuff
get
like that that our politicians can just get away with. Really infuriates me. But that's my tangent. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No problem. Well, and the thing is, it's because a lot of times people just don't read between the lines. You know what I mean? People don't realize that she did that. You know what I mean? So when you have
I
situations
mean,
like that,
I haven't seen the video. I don't even. I don't know. I'm
Uh,
taking it with a
yeah. The other thing I
word of
wanted to point
mouth.
out is if the House makes changes to the bill that they just got back, it does not then go back to the Senate. It goes
it
to
does
a.
not.
It does not. It goes to a conference committee, which is made up of members of the House and the Senate, to then figure it out.
Hmm.
And then
Okay.
once
Who's on the
uh,
conference committee? How is that chosen?
that that is a good question. I do not know. But once the members from both the House and the Senate in that committee agree on it, then it's good to go.
Goes to the president's desk.
Yep.
So then realistically, when she was talking to Murkowski, when she was talking to the press, she pretty much kind of told a bending of the truth there, was saying that it would hopefully come back to the Senate. She was basically saying that hopefully it would come back amended to that committee that you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay, got it. Oh,
Okay,
interesting.
so conference committee. A conference committee is formed consisting of members from both the House and Senate, typically from the committees that originally considered the bill.
Okay, so like, let's just say it was the Ways and Means Committee. Like, let's say it's like that. Which
Yeah,
so so
it would be representatives from both parties.
yeah, it'll be representative from both parties, but we can almost guarantee that every single committee is going to have a Republican majority.
Republican majority. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, which again, not surprising. Republicans hold the House and the Senate.
right.
Yeah, but I guess so. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the bill writ large. So as you can see, this first bullet here, Medicaid restrictions. So this bill, regardless of what anyone wants to say on one side or the other, um, this bill is going to cut Medicaid funding. I mean, it's right here. Senate Republicans propose steeper cuts to Medicaid funding, in part by incrementally lowering provider taxes from 6% to 3.5% by 2032. The timeline is delayed by 1 year from the Senate GOP's initial proposal after the issue became one of the bill's sticking points in recent weeks. It's departure from the House bill, which sought to lower federal costs by freezing states' provider taxes at current rates and prohibiting them from establishing new provider taxes. So basically, like they are cutting funding by letting the income into the program taper off. They might not be like necessarily like slashing money from the budget in this specific segment, but they're going to lower the amount of money that goes into Medicaid, which will then eventually cause portions of Medicaid to fail, like hospitals to close and things like that. Which is why at the very bottom you see the bill also includes a rural hospital stabilization fund after the GOP senators expressed concern over how rural hospitals could be impacted by the Medicaid restrictions, allocating $50 billion for rural hospitals over the same period, with the provider taxes would be lowered. From what I've read, that's not enough to keep a good majority of these hospitals open. Um, but
Yeah,
that
I've also seen that.
but time will tell. It's kind of one of those things you just
Right.
don't
Yeah,
know.
I
Like
don't know.
when you run the numbers, the math doesn't check out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So next,
Unless we're
there's
running the numbers completely incorrectly.
right, which I believe a lot of the numbers have been generated by the Congressional Budget Office, which is a nonpartisan uh, fiscal like watchdog that
Mm.
works on behalf of the congressional. Oh, there's a term. I'm blanking on it. But the CBO like has their own budgetary projections and things like that. And they've come out with budget projections on this to say, how much is this bill going to add to the deficit? How much is this bill going to add to our debt burden? Things in that of that nature as well. Which those are out there. Like you can find the congressional budget office's statement on this bill and what they think it's going to do to the deficit. And again, they're nonpartisan, so they just kind of take the bill, read what's in it, and try and do the math. So next, we've got Homeland Security and Immigration. So we've got $46.5 billion for border wall construction and related expenses, $45 billion to expand detention facilities for immigrants in custody, and $30 billion in funding for hiring, training, and other resources for U.S. immigration and customs enforcement, also known as ICE. Um, Now this is something new, and I actually didn't know that this was like or what the process was for this, but it's this section right here. It includes a $100 minimum fee for those seeking asylum, which it was $1,000 fee in the House bill, which is up from $0 currently. It currently costs $0 to apply for asylum in the United States. Now, um, what I found is like it's weird because we all know how inefficient the government can be at times. So I read I forget the source where I read this, but that $100 fee is yearly while your application is being processed.
So say an application takes so many years, it's $100 a year while
$100
you're
a
in this
year,
seeking asylum process.
correct?
Asylum
Because that's
seeking
the thing is
process.
that it's still pending. Like your asylum hasn't been granted. You know,
Yeah, but it's not a one-time $100 fee.
correct? You have to pay it every year.
Dang.
So.
What is the average length of someone in the application process?
Uh,
We talked about this before, I just can't remember. Not the fee, but like seeking asylum process.
yeah. Several months to several years, depending on the backlog and whether the case is handled by USCIS or immigration court. Currently, due to backlog, the majority of affirmative asylum applicants wait years.
It doesn't give like an actual number.
Correct. I'm not seeing a specific number or like a range.
Okay.
Um, at the minimum, 6 months,
Okay.
but at maximum, several years is where I'm seeing that on a lot of.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, but I mean
Oh,
that makes sense.
let's see. What does this say here? See, now CNN says it's 6 months on average, 2 interviews, and then one final decision is typically. But 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 yeah, who can apply for asylum? If somebody is in the United States illegally, people in the United States illegally can apply for asylum, but may be subject to an extended process um, to have their case referred to an immigration court.
Mm.
Um, you cannot apply for asylum if you've been denied asylum before. You cannot apply for asylum if you are currently at the United States border or in. Okay, wait a minute. That's contradicting.
Wait, read it.
Yeah, you. Okay, so here's the exact correct. While not being deported
Ported, right.
while trying to file for your
R-
asylum claim, even though you're in the country illegally.
Wow.
It's a great system. Oh, it's a great system.
It's
Okay.
it's very yeah.
Now, here's
Oh man,
another
it's kind of
caveat
strange.
there. You
Feels
can
strange.
also
I don't know.
you can also not apply for asylum if you have been in the United States for more than a year. If you've been in the United States for more than a year and have not filed an asylum claim, you are no longer eligible to file for an asylum claim.
So how do you how do you prove that you haven't been?
It's a great question. It's a great question. That's one for the lawyers, Jake.
Yeah, I
Do you
guess so.
think
Yeah.
there's like an interview process, so they just go around and interview everyone you know, or anyone you are associated with, and wait for someone to go, they've been here for years or
Yeah, they
whatever.
screw up. Yeah, they rat you out.
So again, this is coming from
I don't know.
CNN. I'll bring this over. That way I can share it real quick. I might, oh, it would help if I could copy and
At the
paste.
top, you should be able to just hit like share this tab instead.
Right. So
Yeah.
is it good?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay.
Oh.
So we're right here. This is where I've been looking at. Yeah. So important document for asylum, and I know this is a tangent. We won't cover this much longer. But the most important document is the I-589. So it's 12 pages of questions, 14 pages of instructions. Um, detailed and specific accounts of persecution or fear. Requests for dates and events that could have taken years ago. A reliable address where they can be contacted. Yeah, I could see how that could be a problem. So yeah, and here's where you can see like how many support offices are in your state, which obviously the border state of California, Texas, Florida is not really technically a land border state, but obviously people could come from the Dominican Republic, they could come from Haiti, they could come from Cuba, etc. And then obviously New York is an immigrant haven. It always has been, going back to Ellis Island days. But yeah, so there's also asylum offices. You can see it's kind of the same pattern here. Yeah, months-long process. The average length of an asylum process from application to decision is 180 days, according to CNN. Oh, actually, no. So that's their source is U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services. So, yeah, interesting. But, anyways, back to this. All right. So, increasing the state and local tax deduction or SALT increases the cap on the state and local tax deduction, raising it from 10,000 to 40,000. After 5 years, it would return down to 10,000. So basically, the difference between the House bill and the Senate bill is after 5 years, that 40,000 goes back down to 10,000. The House bill, I believe, kept it at 40,000 in perpetuity. Yeah. So let's see. Restrictions on food stamps. Senate bill shifts cost of SNAP or food stamps to the states, to some states. The program is currently fully funded by the federal government. Would continue to fully fund the benefits for states that have an error payment rate of less than 6% beginning in 2028. States with error rates above 6% would be on the hook for 5 to 15% of the costs. States are also given some flexibility in calculating their share. So yeah, like, and I think this could potentially be, where Murkowski got some words in. Alaska and Hawaii could receive waivers for the work permits if it's determined that they're making a good faith effort to comply.
Real
So yeah,
quick,
okay,
2
yep.
things. I apologize for those out there watching if the video is choppy. Apparently, my internet sucks. It's having a tough day. Number 2, the yays are up to 219. So with only 1 vote left, I believe they have secured enough votes for that.
Oh,
Whatever they were voting on at the moment to pass. So
correct. Yeah, like we don't know. Like, again, we're not legalese experts, so we don't know if this was like the official amendment to approve the bill
Fox
to
of
send
North
it.
Carolina amendment.
yeah.
Amendment
Yeah,
on
Fox of North
agreeing.
Carolina amendment on agreeing to the amendment.
Agreeing to the amendment.
Right. So
Agreeing
now
to
it's
the
just like,
Fox Amendment A001. Roll call.
I guess
1.
if somebody wants to look up like what that amendment means, like if we can
Yeah.
find that anywhere. Is my screen still being shared, Zachary, or is it the
Yep, nope, you're
the live stream?
still
Okay.
you.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, addressing the debt limit would raise the debt ceiling by 5 trillion, going beyond the 4 trillion outlined in the House passed bill. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said they wanted that addressed by mid-July, because they wanted to get that done before Congress went on recess. And Republicans in Congress are aiming to bypass negotiating with Democrats on the issue. Unlike most other legislation in the Senate, the budget reconciliation process that governs this package requires a simple majority rather than the 60-vote threshold to move forward with a bill. So yeah, the current $2,000 child tax credit is set to return to the pre-2017 level of $1,000 in 2026. The tax credit would permanently increase to $2,200 under the Senate bill, $300 less than the House passed hike, and the House version reverts the increase to $2,000 after 2028. So basically, the tax credit, I believe, I know that was one thing that Democrats ran on, and I don't think Republicans really ran on this much, but it does seem like they are putting in a slight bump to the child tax credit, and that will last until 2028, and then it will revert back to $2,000, which is what it is currently at. All All right. So limits on overtime and tips deductions. So the bill would allow individuals to deduct a certain amount of tip wages and overtime from their taxes. The provisions would expire in 2028. So this is the no tax on tips portion of the bill that Donald Trump ran on in regards to his campaign. Um, and so you can see it creates a new deduction for tipped workers, eliminating what they owe in federal taxes. They would still have to pay state, local income taxes, and payroll taxes. But there are some variations. Senate proposal limits deductions to $25,000, while the House version is uncapped. So big difference there because and me having never been a tipped worker, I don't know, Zach, Jake, have you guys ever been tipped workers?
No, for a
No.
day. I quit after the
No.
Oh, rip. Jeez,
Oh
Jake was
yes,
like, see ya.
technically I have
Oh yeah,
when I delivered
yeah.
pizza.
Okay. Uh, did you ever make $25,000 a year in tips?
No, I did not.
I don't
uh,
know. Just tips?
yeah, just tips.
I don't know many people that have, unless you're like
Well,
at a high service. Like,
right. Tips.
I don't know many people that have, unless you're like
Well,
at a high service. Like,
right. I mean, because I guess let's just say you work. I think it's like 270 days a year, so 25,000 divided by 270. Yes, that's like $92 a day in tips. So that's a lot. That's a lot of tips. But I could see where the uncapped portion of it comes, in handy. Um, but okay, so under the House measure though, um, people with annual income of less than $160,000 on tax break, um, where so it's basically just slightly less for the Senate. They made it 150,000 for individuals and 300,000 for couples. But again, I kind of want to I want to point out if you're making $160,000 like with tips, you must be damn good at your job.
yeah,
Unless
that's really good.
the only thing I could think, like, and I guess this is tough to say, but I wonder if they're counting like commission. You know what I mean?
Well, wait, it gets rid of
It
limits over.
well, I'm wondering like if they just mention tips because they don't mention overtime in any of this like section here from CBS, but I'm wondering if that's like included in this like 160,000. Like if your overtime exceeds 160,000, that's where it stops.
So what about the places that are now saying, "Hey, leave a tip after whatever"?
Yeah.
Normally you wouldn't tip.
hmm
And a lot of places, tips don't necessarily go to the pockets of the individual.
So that's the thing. It's like, so if the tip doesn't go to the pocket of the individual who is serving
They
you,
share, a lot of places share tips.
right? And now that's the thing too. So if the tip is still going into the pocket of the individual at some point,
At some point,
then
okay.
then these companies can they don't have to pay the minimum wage anymore. Because if you're a tipped employee, you don't have to be paid minimum wage.
Hmm.
So um yeah, so if I think the federal minimum wage is like 8.25 or 7.25. Either way,
Yeah.
not a lot an hour. Um, but yeah, so I think there is a federal minimum wage that like if you're a tipped employee that they have to pay. I think it's like $4 or something like
It's
that
like
an hour.
$4, yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be relying on those tips heavy at that point. But
Right, and you're not getting all of it. But the ones you do
cor-
are not taxed. Is it that's
correct,
okay.
correct. Well, they're not federally taxed anymore.
Federally taxed, correct.
Which, so let's put that in perspective though, because the federal income tax bracket for somebody like making 20, like let's say it's capped at $25,000, and let's just say they do the same thing for federal income tax. So what are the federal income tax brackets 2025? So 10% on income up to 11,925, 12% on income from 11,926 to 48,475. So effectively, let's just say mostly 10% on all those tips currently. Um, and then it goes slightly up to, like 12% for that extra for 13,000 ish and some change. Um, so I mean, that's not a small amount of money. I mean, when you're thinking of $25,000, you're effectively saving, you know, almost $2,700, give or take, on not having your tips taxed by the federal government. So, and for some people, that's a huge benefit. If I'm being honest with you, I mean, that $2,700 could be the make or break for somebody. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's the big concern that I've seen a lot of people have on the Democratic side of the aisle is just how are there going to be loopholes created with this that people are going to exploit? The answer to that is most certainly yes. It's just what are they? Because
So
people will find a loophole to anything.
if that's the case,
Mhm.
they need. Why aren't they? Well, at least to me, it feels like the Democrats aren't pushing to make these amendments that are necessary to get rid of those loopholes.
That is a question for the ages because it's the what is it, the Homer Simpson thing? It's like Democrats that says we can't govern, or no Democrats, we have no spine or something like that, and the Republicans are like we hate everybody. Like that's the
Right. Yeah.
wait, I have to find a picture of that now. I'll share it on my tab. Uh,
You'd think you'd think if you're on one side of the aisle, the other side's trying to do
that's the
right. Yeah.
wait, I have to find a picture of that now. I'll share it on my tab. Uh,
You'd think if you're on one side of the side's trying to do something and get away with some stuff. Now it might be hard because Republicans do have the majority, but
yeah, and I think that's the big thing is, by the way, here it is, by the way. The Democrats on the left, the Republicans on the right.
oh yeah, I see.
Yeah.
We
So
hate we hate life and ourselves, Democrats. We can't
yeah,
govern, Democrats. We
we want
want
what's
what's
worse
worse for everyone. We're just plain
worse
evil for the
Republicans.
Republicans.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
but yeah. But no, that's a great question. I mean, I think that the Democrats for years have shot themselves in the foot by not being aggressive and trying to provide the very things that you know the Republicans will campaign on, regardless of whether or not they come true. They're talking points that they know they can get voters with. Where, and I've said this on previous episodes, it's just like
Hmm.
I think the Democrats need to have an internal realization that some of the stuff that they have as selling points, like, people already know that you support those ideologies. You don't need to keep reinforcing them. Like,
So,
support the stuff that good.
d do you think we're seeing that in, say, New York, where it's kind of a radical change? Not radical
Yeah,
change, but
so
it's a
Oh yeah,
very
that's a
a
good point.
big departure from normal, you know, Democrat ideology that we've seen for the past however long.
yeah, I mean, this is your so this is Zachary's talking about Zoran Mamdani. Sorry, Mamdani. Yeah, Zoran Mamdani. He is currently the leading favorite to become the next mayor of New York. He is a self-proclaimed democratic socialist who is a naturalized American citizen. I believe he's from Uganda. And he has kind of run a surprise campaign in the city of New York, and he's defeated Andrew Cuomo, and he's projected, I believe, to beat Eric Adams as well. So I think it is a shift, especially because I looked at a couple reports on how much he was able to garner the youth support and the youth vote, which I just feel was not present enough in the 2024 election. and that probably led to Kamala Harris's eventual defeat. But yeah,
But even
he's
then, a lot of the youth voted for Donald Trump.
that's what I'm saying. Is like he's found a way to not only get the youth to vote for him, but get them out to vote. Because that's the thing is, I think the youth didn't really get out to vote in the 24 election, but the youth that did vote voted for Trump.
For Trump, right?
Yeah, right. See now in this instance, like that when you look at the demographic results of the primary, the youth got out to vote and they overwhelmingly voted for Mamdani.
Hmm,
So yeah,
that's
and, and
interesting.
and kind of like what Zachary's saying, like, yeah, he's campaigned on a lot of, things that people want. And you can argue whether or not they're going to be good
New,
for the city or not.
New York is
But
also a blue city.
correct. But in the 2024 election, it had the farthest right wing swing that it has been, I believe they said in
Wow.
recorded history.
Hmm,
So
I didn't
I
know
think
that.
yeah. So I mean, the city swung big towards Trump in 2024. Um, or big towards Republicans, not necessarily Trump in general.
Trump, right,
Uh,
right.
yeah. Um, but
Hmm.
because I think like one of the things that he's proposing is raising the minimum wage in New York City to $30 an hour. I believe he wants to put together. I believe it's an 800% increase into the anti-hate crime organization of the NYPD. Um, he wants
Interesting.
to he wants to establish city-owned grocery stores and he's everywhere. I mean, he shows up on everything. I know he's actually garnered the ire of the president. Donald Trump has said that he has a lot of tools in his toolbox to deal with Mamdani. So we'll see what happens with that. It's kind of appalling that a sitting president's going to take that route, but it is what it is. We can't control that. But yeah, so I think that Democrats are going to have to make a choice. Are they going to embrace Mamdani or are they going to rebel against him? And um, I do not
I don't,
think it is in their best interest to rebel against a movement that generates that much support from the youth,
I
whether
don't
they
know
like
how
it or
you
not.
I don't know how you get rid of bus fare when it in 2022
Mhm.
local bus fare revenue in New York City is estimated to be around $708 million.
So
That's a good
that,
chunk of change.
it is a good chunk of change. But I mean, then that's the thing. Does he bump? Well, so
I don't know
uh,
how you get rid of that.
see how much the MTA see how much the MTA brings in. The
The
or not the,
MTA's local bus fare
I
revenue
meant to
is
say
estimated.
the subway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm sorry. Breaking news: Christian Encarnacion Strand grand slam. Reds up 4-3 against the
Well,
Red
actually,
Sox. Yeah.
I just
Nice.
saw a highlight on X of the Boston player hitting their home run, and I was like, well, I guess the Reds will no longer be the only team that hasn't been swept.
It's not over yet, but yes, it is 4-3 Reds.
That's fun. I like that for
Yes.
us.
Sorry.
That not me wearing a Guardian shirt currently. Please don't look.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw
I,
that. I didn't want to bring it up because
I don't.
traitors.
No, look. As long as they're not playing each other, it's fine. Go Ohio.
Go Ohio.
Right, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. MTA collected less than $4 billion in subway and bus fare revenue.
So if you said the bus fare was 700,
708 million.
so then that
That
3.3
was that
comes from the subway.
yeah. In
Okay.
2019, in 20 that's in 20 that's in 2022. So yeah,
So
it would
so we can
be
assume it's gone up a little bit.
right, yeah.
Right. Yeah, because it's a fair question. It's a fair question. Where is he going to get all of this money to do these things? And if it's through taxing,
Right.
the 1% to a certain degree, maybe he can pull that off. I don't know. The thing is that he is just how all elections go, right? This is just how all elections go. He has said things to the public to garner their support. Whether
Mhm.
or not he can pull them off, that's up to him, that's up to city council, that's up to whoever he has to get through in order to get that stuff into law or
Mhm.
into existence. It's not easy. And that's the thing happens for every politician. I know that we rail on politicians a lot for making promises and not keeping them, but like
I mean,
that's
that's
just the nature of the
since the
beast.
beginning of time. Yeah,
Right.
you can't
And
keep every promise.
and I want to say that I am positive that there are some very, very, very genuine, like genuine people in Congress who want to see good done for their constituents, for their community,
See, I
on
look at
both
it a
sides
little.
of the aisle, right?
I look at it differently. I
You think that
I
they're
think
all
they just.
sleazeballs?
I do. I kind of. I kind
Okay,
of think they're all in it to
in
I
it to win it.
get reelected.
I got a we'll call it a middle of the road opinion.
Half their time in Congress is getting reelected.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think going in, a lot of them have good intentions
Yeah,
until
yeah, I
maybe
agree
it's
with
they
that.
see how I don't know exactly what the right word is because I don't want to say uh like how bought everyone is. Like everyone
Yeah,
got their own
I think
Yeah,
that's a
agenda
fair
at
assessment.
some point in there, but I
they're
think at
grabbing
some
that bag.
point
They're grabbing their own bag. I
exactly
get it.
at some point they go in with their good intentions and then it's like, well, I'm gonna just fall in line with everybody else and get that bag. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's
I
And
just me.
understand it. It's just,
mhm.
yeah. I
And
just,
I think that's what a lot of it is that yeah, I liked how you put that right there at the very end. They just fall in line.
mm,
Like I don't think a lot of them necessarily like switch over to have bad intentions, but like the ones who don't have bad intentions, they like you said, they just fall in line.
well,
They don't they don't
you say bad intentions. I look at it as what they think they're doing is good.
That's true. They've probably
Yeah,
I don't
gaslit themselves
think
into
so
thinking
I
what
yeah,
they're
don't
doing is
I
good.
don't think they think what they're doing is necessarily bad.
when I say
Yeah.
bad intentions, I don't me
Just
personally, I
to
mean
like the
they're going
go ahead,
in
sorry.
with uh they're not going in to serve their constituents. They're going in to serve themselves and whatever they want to do. That's kind of what I mean
Mhm.
with bad intentions. They're in it for
Oh yeah,
them,
right.
not for the people they serve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah. I could see
and
that.
looks like they're up to 220 now to 212
Yeah, all the
based
votes are
on
in
the
as
live
far
stream.
as I can tell. So
Yeah. And I say honestly, Jake, you can hop off if you want, but what we might do, and I know we've got
I probably get
6
out of
minutes.
here at 9.
Yeah, then what we could do is if they re-adjourn and there's some stuff going on, we could leave the live stream up and
Mm.
we could step away and go get a drink or something like that and leave the live stream up for people to watch. Um and that way if anything interesting happens, because yeah, all the votes are in, so maybe something else will come from this shortly. But yeah, I know we're getting close to our hour here, and it's just wanted we wanted to bring this bill to light. It's obviously very contentious. There's a lot going on with it, in it, and around it. So
A
you
lot
know,
of controversy.
a lot of controversy, a lot of one side saying it's the greatest thing ever, best thing since sliced bread, and another side saying that if you touch it, it's radioactive and you'll explode into a trillion pieces. So
yeah,
the truth again lies somewhere in the middle.
it's real fun
Someone
hearing people call it like this is the best thing for the American people. This is going to be great, while others saying it is the worst piece of legislation uh, ever to go through.
and right.
People, this is going to be great, while others saying it is the worst piece of legislation uh, ever to go through
And
the
right.
government.
Right.
You can't really like it's hard to form an opinion based on what people after
For
the
the
vote or before.
before.
Okay.
Yeah, before the vote.
Okay. Mm,
I don't know if there's a video of it out there or not, but yeah, like
mm.
they read all 14 hours. Actually, I'm gonna see if there's a video of that because we. Uh, while I'm doing this, Zachary, what do you want to talk about to wrap us up? If you got something. Oh, I think you're muted.
Oh, you right. Uh, I did just see, not that it's a great story, but a ferry
Feel free to post this link in the chat,
Yeah.
by the way. That is
Uh,
the YouTube video from the Associated Press on the full reading of the bill.
Okay.
about that. A ferry in Indonesia carrying 65 people sank, and at least
Hmm.
2 have been killed so far. So that's going
Wow.
on.
Well, that's not happy news.
And at least 2 have been killed so far. So that's going
Wow.
on.
Well, that's not happy news.
The other
That's
thing
crazy.
I wanted to talk about a little bit because
How
it was
did it sink?
Aliens.
that is a great question. Let me go to the AP article and see if it says. Sank only a half hour after leaving port.
Wow. Hit like a reef or something?
That could be a possibility. Oh, we lost Zachary's camera.
Cool. That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good.
Back maybe? Nope. Okay.
I don't
Well,
see it back.
nah, it's not. I don't know. Whatever.
That's all right.
This whole thing is doomed.
It's me.
Oh.
But yeah, it doesn't say in the article that I can see.
Okay.
But the only other thing I wanted to talk about that I care about at the moment is the new bill or the new budget for NOAA. And
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
the drastic cuts. Like, this isn't for anyone. This is not about climate change. That has nothing to do with climate change. This is your path to better understanding hurricanes and better being able to predict them. Your path to better tornado warnings, your path to better thunderstorm warnings, flood warnings, all of that stuff that, especially like the NSSL, all the stuff they're researching, their warn on forecast system that they're developing.
I was going to say, tell the people what NSSL is.
NSSL stands for the National Severe Storms Laboratory, based in Norman, Oklahoma. They do, they're working on like AI forecasting, AI machine learning forecast to better improve the weather models, the warn on forecast system, which could provide essentially hours of lead time for things like tornadoes and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
All of that, if the budget were to be approved, gone. The NSSL closes. All of this hurricane research gone. There's a satellite, hanging out up there in space as they do. That
It's the
will be,
microwave satellite, right?
I believe so. Yeah, that will be
Yeah.
turned off. So that satellite is huge for forecasting like ongoing hurricanes. It lets us look through the clouds, kind of above the hurricane a little bit, and still see into it. Still see kind of the inner dynamics of the hurricane through the clouds. Without that satellite,
Correct.
we are probably relying on a daytime satellite, nighttime your host, but also your like recon flights and stuff,
Correct.
and that's it. Plus, we lose all of the research going to better forecasting these and tracking these. People complain about, oh, why the track shift so much? Well, at this point, we may never get the answer. It's going to be, here it comes. Good luck. So
Put your head between your knees and kiss your butt goodbye.
yeah, I encourage everyone to go read it. You form your own opinion, do what you will. But from a pure meteorological standpoint and scientific standpoint, this is awful. It is absolutely
It's
awful.
a disaster. Yep. Yeah. I couldn't agree more on that sentiment. I've looked into that as well, and I mean it genuinely is. People want
back.
to know.
Oh, you're gone.
Yeah, you were back and then you're gone. But people always complain about the forecasts. Oh, why aren't the forecasts accurate XYZ days out? And it's like, well, we're trying to fix that problem, and now we're basically trying to go back to the early 2000s in scientific weather technology, and it's just like, what's the point? Why would we do that? But it seems like we're just going to shoot ourselves in the foot in regards to that, unfortunately. So
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, Jake. Anything anything you want to
Nah.
bring up? No.
Uh,
Rabbits or bunnies or cute little pigeons or something like that.
Yeah, I had no cute stories this week. I apologize.
Yeah.
the Lakers got DeAndre Ayton
Oh, they did. When did that happen?
Hey,
today, I think.
Today?
I've been trying to keep up with this free agency craziness.
That's right.
uh,
You're a resident basketball fan.
I am.
Ellie De La Cruz, by the way, it's 5-3 now.
Yeah. He's singled. Yep.
Yeah.
How
I
about
did just see a post from The Economist for what it's worth.
I
Congress
think
is
LeBron will
scrambling to
leave.
pass Donald Trump's legislation before the 4th of July, which we already knew. But I did see another article about more House Republicans going to the White House to discuss the bill and try to flip votes and do all of the things they need to do. So I'm assuming whatever they were voting on here was not to actually like pass it through.
pass the bill?
Yeah.
Well, and so like, and I guess I know we're getting short on time here, so I'll try and keep my thoughts quick here. But obviously, anyone chip in if they want. But like, if this procedural process to even get to the bill took this long, I'm really curious as to what is going to go like into the discussion, because this took almost 7 hours to potentially not even pass the damn thing.
And
You know,
also,
so
I have seen quite a few reports floating around on the interwebs that this will likely be a somewhat all night event. So everyone is expected to be there all night to try and get this passed before the 4th.
I can
I,
see
I want
that.
are they leaving tomorrow or are they leaving on the 4th?
I believe, if I would assume, and don't quote me on this because I don't know for sure, if they get it passed
Oh, I'm,
tonight, I'm betting
I'm
they are
quoting.
gone tomorrow. But they probably will not leave until this is done, one way or the other. But once it is done, I'm willing to bet they're out of there.
So do you think
Yeah.
it'll last? Do you think this is the final day? Do you think it'll be done tonight?
Full.
Because
That's a
tomorrow
that's
being
such
the 4th,
no. Tomorrow's the
or
3rd.
no, tomorrow's the 3rd. Sorry,
Yeah.
shoot,
They
I
got a
got
whole.
my
I
days
think by the
backwards.
end of tomorrow, it will either pass or go to that other committee. If it
Tomorrow,
doesn't tonight.
darn it, I got to work tomorrow. Dang it!
Sorry, Jake.
I thought tomorrow was the 4th. Shoot,
You
that's
thought.
okay. I knew in my heart of hearts that I work tomorrow.
Jake's like, I gotta work tomorrow.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all
You don't have
good.
to.
Mm,
You can always just quit.
no, I need
If
money.
you're I was about to say, if your boss hears that, I'm not telling her.
I'm not gonna do that.
All right. Well,
All right.
anyways, ladies and
Oh.
germs, oh, what was that?
5-4.
Oh, dang it. Well, ladies and germs, thanks so much for tuning into another episode of the Neutral News Network. I'm Brian alongside Jake and Zach. We'd really appreciate it if you would like, comment, and subscribe. We are now streaming on, I believe, Facebook,
Twitch.
YouTube, and Twitch. So we'd obviously appreciate it if you could share the word, let people know. And additionally, we are going to also be releasing more clips on Facebook and potentially YouTube